There's always been a trend whenever we plan for a watch along, a team tries to finish a match off a little faster, and that's exactly what's happening right now. With Australia trying to take the attack onto the Sri Lankans, and they're trying to finish the match off in no time. So here we are to talk about this match. It's now 26 required of 28 balls, and it's actually now 20 required of 27 balls because now the match is just going. That's the thing with watch along. Whenever we start a watch along, a team tries to finish the match off to say that you can't do it. So here we are. Before the match ends, we're trying to catch the best of actions. We have Sandeepani and Jaren with me. Your thoughts, Jaren, because this has been a complete turnaround from what it was. Because there was a moment when two wickets were down. Sri Lanka were slightly trying to climb on Australians, but then the counter-attacking innings by Maxwell, and here you saw another innings by Stoinis. Now he's absolutely turned it around for Australians.
Oh, he saved the ship. He saved the sinking ship right now for Australia. That this innings, as it is progressing, is just a terrific innings. I mean, the way he's come out, not no batsman has found it as easy. It's one of those innings. I think we spoke about it last time as well. I think I mean I don't remember exactly whom it was, but had played a similar kind of an innings. I think it was in the qualifiers, but something very out of the ordinary. Something that you would love to see. But I also feel Sri Lanka kind of are missing the service of Binura Fernando, because at this stage his slower balls would have been an effective weapon, and also bringing in Vanidhu Hasaranga really was a bad choice. He's not found his rhythm. We spoke about the fact that Vanidhu Hasaranga might struggle a lot more than Tikshana, because he's someone who relies on the turn much more than the bounce and the pace of the wicket. And that's what's happened. The ball has come onto the bat pretty easily. He's also dragged on quite a few deliveries, which has been easy pickings, especially for Stoinis to see. And what also earlier, I think his confidence was really destroyed by Maxwell when he tried to flight the ball up, and Maxwell went after him. But yeah, this is some turnaround.
Absolutely, and this has to be some turnaround for Australia because they were struggling, as I mentioned before, but now it's total Sri Lankan game. 12 now required. They've taken on Tikshana as well this over, so
Yeah.
which means Stoinis has scored one of the fastest ever World Cup 50s by of just 17 balls over here. So this has to be one of the top
Incredible.
knocks who
And
have
the
come
pitch has
in.
been very difficult to score on. So it's just incredible batting right now.
I mean, Tikshana has been one of the pick of the ballers for Sri Lanka today.
Yes.
He was their
Yeah.
go-to man to target him, to take him down. So, which means that Australia are very close to victory now. Something about your thoughts, because Sri Lanka posted a very good score, right? I mean, I know it's not post-match analysis yet, but just to talk about this context, Australia weren't looking at the power because David Warner, yeah, he was looking good, but then once that wicket went and Mitchell Marsh also struggled quite a bit. He skied quite a few balls up in the air, but now you see Maxwell and Stoinis. We did pick them in the fantasy team as a. We did say that these two are going to be a cog in the wheel for Australia. They have come and turned it around completely. The momentum has shifted.
Yeah, I think Maxwell started it off. The innings was progressing smoothly for Australia anyway, because Australia. Sorry, I'm just having this hiccup issue. So Australia started off on a positive note, especially because Binura Fernando got injured in the first over itself. So you had to use somebody like a Dhananjay De Silva or Dashun Shanaka would have to come in and complete three of Binura's over, and also the fact that Hasaranga was struggling did not really help their cause, especially because Maxwell just took a liking for him. He just shattered his confidence, and now I think Stoinis was just having fun. I think in the process, Stoinis scored the joint second fastest T20I half century in World Cup, and he broke Maxwell's record to be the fastest Australian T20 I-50 in World Cup history. I think Maxwell scored a 50 of 18 balls against Pakistan or Bangladesh in 2014, back in 2014. It was against Pakistan. So,
Yeah.
yeah, great achievement for Marcus Stoinis, and also this will do a lot of good to his confidence, especially because he scored just 7 of 16 balls in that chase against New Zealand. And I think this was not like Jaden mentioned, this was not an easy pitch to bat on. But the way that he sort of took his liking towards the bowlers, and especially Hasaranga, you don't expect Hasaranga to go for 53 runs in just 3 overs without having picked up any wicket. So it's
But it's
just
the
that
first
sort
time
of a
ever
rate of
Hasranga
performance.
has gone in excess of 50 runs on a T20 match. So That's another
Yeah.
record there. And we did discuss about how ballers were slower through the air will struggle on this wicket. And that's what has
Yeah.
happened. The ballers, we saw that with Adil Rashid as well. You need to be having a little bit more pace as a spinner on this kind of wicket. But here, Marcus Stoinis is in some mode, four required of 22 balls. He's
By the way,
come
let's
on.
just talk about my prediction. Yeah, Sri Lanka will end in between 155 to 160. Australia will
That was
finish
a
the
very
game
lucky break.
with 3 to 4 overs to go.
I must say, I think there was an error by Aaron Finch. The fact that he did not finish off Pat Cummins' overs as quickly, because if you pick the three ballers, Mitch Stark, Pat Cummins, and Josh Hazelwood, I would prefer Josh Hazelwood and Mitch Stark to ball the last few overs for me. Pat Cummins, I really felt on this pitch, he balled brilliantly, but the moment the ball got old, he really struggled to keep any sort of control, and it was just like bowling machine. I mean, no disrespect to Pat Cummins, a great bowler, but today, in the last over, especially, it was just like Sri Lanka facing a bowling machine.
But yeah, Sri Lanka did
I
go on to
think,
score
yeah,
close to
you're facing some kind of
40
issue
runs
there.
in the last 15 deliveries. I think the partnership, the last wicket partnership for Sri Lanka was 37 of 15. So 37 of 2.3 overs at the end is a great partnership, and coming from the seventh wicket, it actually made a match out of it. Because I think if Sri Lanka would have ended on 140, 145, this would have been a more one-sided chase. But right now, you have to feel for Sri Lanka, they don't have their prime fast bowlers. You also don't have the service of Binura Fernando right now. So these are very difficult times for Dashun Shanaka to select his bowlers, and also for the Sri Lankan management and the team in general. So a tough
Absolutely.
loss, but I think this was expected. Sri Lanka and Australia have never had a like an excellent sort of a performance. Probably we have had hints of excellence from Asila Gunaratne. Uh, had one phenomenal run chase in Australia. But other
Yeah.
than that, in T20Is, Sri Lanka has really suffered against Australia, suffered in the hands of Australia, and this was the case today as well. I mean, the batters, the senior batters, did not really do well. I mean, we expected Pathum Nisanka to play that anchor sort of a knock. So he did
Mm.
go on to play that 45 or 40 balls, but
Yeah,
he got
absolutely.
out
I
at the
mean,
wrong
we
time.
did expect that, but I thought it was not doing any justice for the Sri Lanka team. That was a very
Yeah,
slow
because
knock by
especially we have
Philippine
seen that.
Department. No,
Yeah,
that's what has really costed them maybe 20 odd runs ultimately. If it has scored at least 20 runs in that knock, 40 or 45 is just criminal in T20 cricket. It doesn't matter what the pitch conditions are. No, everybody's happy on Marcus Stoinis because he's really lit the stage up. This is a Marcus Stoinis we
so
knew
also
about.
Finch has been scoring I think Finch scored a 29 of, he was on 29 or 41 balls the last time. Oh, so 31 or 42 balls. So
Finch's innings looked good because someone played a blinder here. If nobody else would have been there, this also could have been a very hefty issue for yeah, hefty problem for Australians if you look from the other end, because these
but
kind of
Abel, this
knocks
was
do
not
work.
an easy pitch to bat on. It was very difficult to sort of, when you
I mean,
come in, it was
to be
difficult to get
honest,
going.
I think it's to do a lot with intent as well. You saw how
Definitely.
Asalanka batted. You saw how
Definitely.
Marcus
Definitely.
Stoinis batted. You saw how Maxwell batted. So I don't think if three batters who went after the bowling could score runs. If it is one batter, I could say he could be an exception. But you saw three batters doing that, so which meant that this is a good surface. I mean, I think. What has happened is that a lot of batters did not try to play through the line. They were trying to really use the front foot and just lose the shape. That's what I saw with Sri Lankan batters, especially Dhananjay De Silva, Pathum Nisanka, Kushal Mendis. A lot of batsmen did lose the shape. Very few batters who were staying within the line of the ball and trying to play through the line. You saw that with Max, you saw that with Marcus Stoinis is a prime example, and also with Asalanka, who were trying to play through the line. You were getting the best out of it. That's the thing with Perth. The bounce is very true. Bounce might be a little more steeper than any other wickets in the world. All what you have to do is remain in position. Don't lose your body balance, because very easily lose your body balance when the ball is climbing on you. So if you try to stay still and play through the line, you will get the best out of it. That's why your cuts and pulls come in handy as well. You saw that with Stoinis, right? Most of his shots came playing square batted shots, and Stoinis is a very powerful hitter when it comes to that. That's why Stoinis was able to reap some rewards out of the kind of game he played. But tell me, Sunniban, especially for Australia, a big win. They wanted to get the run rate up as well. You saw that was one of the moves. You knew when they sniffed an opportunity, they wanted to finish it ASAP, because you know that run rate is affected heavily. There's one of the worst run rate for a team right now in the tournament. I know this win is going to be a huge booster, but still, it's a long way to go for Australians. Isn't it?
Yeah, definitely a long way to go. I mean, with Australia, we always predicted that they would get the better of teams like Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and Ireland. Ireland. So they would definitely get the better of Ireland, Afghanistan, and uh, Sri Lanka. But the key for Australia would be the game against England, because I don't see England slipping against England slipping against Sri Lanka or Afghanistan or Ireland. Neither do I see this New Zealand team slip against any of the three teams. But probably with New Zealand, you have a chance that probably Ireland or Sri Lanka on a good day can pose a threat to them. You never know, and this T20 World Cup in particular has been very sort of unpredictable, because nobody could predict Australia facing or staring at that 89 runs defeat against New Zealand to start off their campaign. The
Yeah,
India versus Pakistan was a closely fought contest, but other than that, I think most of the games we have seen some of the weaker teams putting up a show and sort of exceeding our expectations as a team. And I think Sri Lanka did it against Ireland. I expected that game to be a lot more close, but Sri Lanka really toppled Ireland. But when it came to Australia, they were just not good enough on the day. I think
mm,
170, anything in excess of 170, could have probably challenged this Australian team. At one point, when Aaron Finch was not at all going and Maxwell got out, there was a period just before Stoinis went loose. One could probably fact like say that Australia were kind of getting into that zone, getting stuck, and another wicket at that point, and you never know. The game would have been very tricky, because Australia needed 61 of the last 7 overs when Stoinis let loose. Absolutely, he
yeah,
went after the bowler, and Australia eventually finished the game within 3.5 overs. So 61 runs in the last 3.5 overs. So that is the effect that Stoinis had. 59 of 18 balls. So 59 runs of 3 overs. That's the feat that Sri Lanka pulled off against Australia back in Sri Lanka. So
absolutely.
Sri Lanka were just on the receiving end of a great game tonight.
True. They say that Marcus Stoinis battered them, and truly he did. He did batter them because he was just on another level. Australians were great tonight. Absolutely, Australians were on top of the game, and what a beast Marcus Stoinis is, because he was just on his beast mode, as he would like, because we know this is what Marcus Stoinis can bring into any team wherever he plays. There's a reason why he's been preferred as one of the top choices for Australia. They really wanted him to be fit. You know that he is. You know, Cam Green is a great player, but Marcus Stoinis has done time and time again how he can go out there and change a game. But you also have to give credit to Australian bowlers over here, because Australian bowlers started off brilliantly, for the likes of Hazelwood, the likes of Patrick Cummins went for runs in the last over, but he was also good in keeping that runs to a very steady flow in the first couple of overs. And Mitchell Stark, I thought was very good tonight. And alongside, I know Ashnagar was another bowler coming in replacement for Adam Zampa. He made sure that he did not leak any runs. He was very economical with the
But that is
bowling.
just Ashton doing what Ashton does. Probably picks up 1 or 2 wickets. He's not a huge, like massive wicket taker. That is something that Australia will miss going forward into this tournament. The services of Adam Zampa will be, they'll miss it dearly. But what Ashton brings to the table is that he can be very economical, and he can go through his overs really quickly. So he's Jadeja sort of a bowler who can go through his overs really quickly,
Mm, mm,
and economically as well. So Mitchell Santner, Ashton I put these players in the same level. So I think he did a phenomenal job. 4 overs 25. I think Australia were spectacular on the field up until the 18th over. I think just after Hasaranga was dismissed, they just let it slip away, because the way they had actually put a hold on Sri Lanka's batting. I mean, they did not look to go beyond 140. But
yeah,
some late order bloom from Asalanka, as well as Chamika Karunaratne. Karunaratne played a great innings, coming in at number 8. I think that propelled Sri Lanka's innings to 157, and it was a fighting total, because the pitch
it was.
early on, it was not easy to come in and sort of hoik and get the runs going. So
Yeah,
credit to Australia. I mean, credit to Glenn Maxwell. But this was their intent because they knew they were so behind the ball game. When you compare to the, like, when we compare the net run rate with the other teams, so they had to go hard at it, and they
yeah,
did. I mean, Marcus Stoinis, Glenn Maxwell, all had the same intent.
absolutely. I think now you need to get some water. I think the hiccups are just getting higher for you, so I think probably you can take some
I'm
rest.
trying, man. I'm trying with water. It's not helping.
I
Maybe
think we
you
need to
can
have
just
some sort of a scare, maybe like India losing to Netherlands to get that out of the way.
yeah, possible. But nonetheless, for Jerry, I know we were just talking about how
Yeah.
this game was so important for Australia in terms of net run rate as well. Because when they sniff that net run rate as something which they can achieve through this game, I know it's a lot to achieve, but then they can compensate in the smallest, best possible way. I know they have to get at least three big wins to actually get them to a positive net run rate, and they'll be targeting Ireland for sure from here on. But the other two teams, it's not going to be easy for them. Now, England is a big task for them as well, because England, I think they're going to play England next, and that's not going to be an easy task for Australia. But they will like to take some momentum out of there, especially the signs that Marcus Stoinis is back in form, and Marcus Stoinis is timing the ball as good as he is. Because in the last game where he played, he was not looking the part at all. But let's talk about Australian bowling as well, because Australian bowling is what set this game up for them. How impressed were you of someone like a Mitchell Stark? Because Mitchell Stark, we know that he can go for plenty of runs, especially in a T20 game. But today he held his nerve. He was bowling brilliantly, wasn't he?
Absolutely. And today, in fact, you could go on to say that for the majority period, he's the one who took the control. He was the leader of that pace attack, because even Josh Hazelwood, had his moments where he didn't look to get a wicket, especially early on. He Even though he bowled brilliantly, he did not get a wicket, and that's where I think Mitchell Stark really helped. Keep that control against Sri Lanka. He did not allow the Sri Lankan batters to get ahead, and also made sure that the batters didn't get those singles or doubles also very easily. And it took a long time before Sri Lanka settled in by, and that was only when Mitch Starker had to be taken out of the attack, because they had to be brought back. And even when he came back, he bowled excellently. I think that is something that and probably the pitch was made for a bowler like him, who likes that pace, who likes to scare batsmen with his pace, and with the speed and with the bouncer that he has. I think he bowled brilliantly for that reason. And having an economy of less than six, I think on any pitch is incredible in a T20 match. And it wasn't, I mean, it was a very difficult pitch to bat on, but I still feel it was a pitch where a bowler could have easily given 7 to 8 runs per over. But even then, Mitch Stark really held his own and he bowled brilliantly. Also, the fact that, a wicket that he took came at the right point in time to stop Sri Lanka from going any more than they did.
Yeah, truly, truly. And I thought, I was discussing earlier in the live as well. I thought a lot of batters lost their shape rather than trying to play through the line. It's so important to
Yeah.
stay in shape and play through the line and bounce away wickets, because the ball is going to have a steep bounce. So if you lose your shape, then you're trying to catch up for the bounce, which it actually steeps up to. Then it's going to be a tough task for you to even get an elevation. That's why Sri Lanka did a very good job alongside Marcus Stoinis. He's got experience playing in these kind of grounds, but Sri Lanka did a very good job doing that. Yeah, Michael says, Marcus was very scary in Perth. Yeah, bounce is scary in Perth. That's why it is one of the quickest wickets out there in the world. Tammy is very happy. Of course, they're elated because Australia got a win, as long as even Michelle is. So that's what for Australians. They'll be very pleased with this win. But now going ahead, Sonny Mani, what do you reckon they will be doing against England? Because I know we're not sure how fit Adam Zampa will become the England game, but they would really want Adam Zampa services for that game, isn't it?
But I don't think that Adam Zampa will be fit enough to make it for the England game. And that is going to be a huge concern for Australia, because they don't have a replacement for somebody like an Adam Zampa. The best they can do is get in somebody like an Ashton Agar, who will give you those 4 overs, who will be economical. But Adam Zampa was a wicket taker. If you see his averages
Yeah.
in T20 World Cups, he averages only around 12 or 13 and has picked up around 18, 19 wickets in 11 games. So to sort of find a player of his caliber is immensely difficult, and Australia would be sort of sticking to the same team going into the England game. And I think it is going to be a tough challenge for the Australian side, because England on paper are the strongest side, and everything has been clicking for them. They would probably not be happy with the way they batted against Afghanistan, but I think all in all, the way they fielded actually made amends for the fact that they could not, they did not have to bat spectacularly, because the target was only 112 or 110. So that is because they bowled so well. So bowling and fielding has done the job for the England team, so they did not have to actually come in and bat well. But for this Australian team, the fact that Zampa is missing is going to be a huge blow to them, and they'll just hope that somehow Zampa can make it within probably if they go on to make it to the semi-finals, then probably Zampa can make it before the high octane semi-final clash.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Adams, I think he'll be fit. I don't think it's a major issue as well. At least he was declared fit to even play this game. So it's not a big issue when it comes to symptoms. It was just a precaution that did not play him today. But Jaren, for Sri Lanka, I know it's their first major defeat after that Namibian game, but then here was a big test for them. This was the first game they were tested against a quality opposition in a ground which was very tough for any Asian teams to go. But now what's here for Sri Lanka? Because I know they are considered as one of the dark horses of the tournament, but this is where we really told that in Australian conditions they are going to struggle, isn't it? I think Jaren has got some issues, but meanwhile, I'll come to Sandeepani on the same question as well.
Yeah, I think Sri Lanka will find it very difficult right now, because I like we mentioned that for Sri Lanka the competition is not going to be against Afghanistan or Ireland. They'll have to beat two of Australia, England, and New Zealand to be in the be in contention for the playoffs. So they have already lost to Australia in such a convincing manner. Also, the bowling injuries is not really helping them. So they'll have to come up really strong and sort of pose a threat to England and New Zealand. But to do that, I think they'll have to be a lot more consistent with the bat. I spoke about this in our pre-match in our fantasy segment, that they have been heavily reliant on their top three, Dhananjay De Silva, Pathum Nissanka, and Kushal Mendes, to sort of get them to a start from where they can capitalize. And the performances of the middle order tonight, I think Asalanka did a good enough job. But other than that, I think their middle order, to say the best, they have been cameos. The middle order has just chipped in as cameos. You have Bhanuka Rajapaksha, you have Asalanka, you have the likes of Gunatilaka whenever he plays. Also, Dasun Shanaka comes in, Hasaranga is there, Chamika Karunaratne is there. So with this middle order, you don't expect all the players to come in and play cameo sort of a knock. I mean, it's good if four players can play that 30 run of 15-16 ball sort of a knock that will propel the team's score to 170, 180. But you will not see that happen every day. So one of them will have to go on and play in deep. I think Pathum Nisanka is the only player that has been looking to sort of play that anchor's role and hold one end together. Other than that, I think all the Sri Lankan batsmen have been very whimsical. Even I'll use this word whimsical for even Kushal Mendes, because I feel if Kushal Mendes gets going early, he's one of the best players
No, truly, I
in that
mean,
team.
I would say, for Kushal Mendes, like a player like Kushal Mendes, he's an aggressive batter, and he would like to back the kind of instincts which he's got, because there was a period where Kushal Mendes was struggling from 2007 to 2021. He was not looking the part at all, because he was a player who had a lot of promise, and he used to struggle. He used to be very tentative on the crease. People used to be critical about his knocks as well because of the very reason. But now he has found a way by actually playing the shots out of it. He's trying to come out and be very expressive when it comes to his gameplay, and it's worked for him. I gotta admit that it's worked for him in a big way.
Slowly and steadily, when like from the time of Dilshan or Sangakkara's retirement, we have seen that the Sri Lankan players have looked to adopt this sort of a cameo sort of an approach in T20Is. When none of the players looks to take the game deep, or looks to play throughout the innings, all of them are just trying to come in and just hit the ball out of the park. And I think that only works on certain occasions. You have teams like India, Australia, England, who are taking in this aggressive approach where all the players are
Yeah.
looking to sort of maximize on their strike rate. But with them,
Mm.
you also have very stable, technically stable players. For India, you have KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav. All of them
Yeah.
can really accelerate their game.
Especially in these bigger grounds in Australia, they have to be a little more smarter. We've been
Definitely,
emphasizing on being
definitely, yeah.
smart in these bigger grounds. I thought they were very smart in phases in these games where they were getting those quick doubles going and they were able to find some important gaps. But other than that, they were struggling with the majority of it. So that's going to be a concern for a team like Sri Lanka as well, because now they've lost injuries. They've lost players. Binura is a new one to the long list of fast bowlers who are injured for Sri Lanka. Sandeep, it's a scary time for Sri Lanka to be in the tournament because they've lost some big
Definitely.
players.
I don't think they have
Madhusanka,
the
Samira.
I don't think they have the bowling support needed to go through this tournament. It's like the Indian
Uh,
team of that was touring Australia in early 2022 because you don't have any.
no, actually, the Indian team had net ballers. They've not even carried net ballers over here.
Yeah, no, but they have the spinners and they have the all rounders who will have to do the job for them. But you don't expect somebody like a Darshan Shanaka and Dhananjay De Silva to consistently come in and give you 4 overs with the ball. And
Yeah.
that is something that Sri Lanka really needs to work on because uh, personally I feel Dasun Shanaka and Dhananjay De Silva are both batting all rounders, and you seldom see them sort of bowl out their quota of 4 overs, probably in a pitch that is really offering a particular section a lot of assistance. At that time, you can probably see Dasun Shanaka coming in and trying to bowl 4 overs, or Dhananjay Silva bowling his quota of 4 overs. But other than that, I think they'll have to find some key, some not just key, they have to find players who can give them 4 overs, fast bowlers who can give them 4 overs. If I'm in the Sri Lankan camp, I'm telling Lahiru Kumara to forget all the net sessions, just play throughout, just play the game, just give me the
Yeah.
game. That's it.
Lahiru Kumar was excellent tonight, I thought. I know he went for some runs towards the end, but he was excellent when it comes to his opening spell. He
No,
really
but
troubled Aaron
also
Finch.
Abel Lahiru Kumara has had a history of injuries, a
Yeah,
history
he's
of
got.
injury concerns, and that led him to be dropped from the T20I side eventually. So I think it's very dark times for Sri Lanka ahead in terms of the fast bowling department for this World Cup at least. They don't have any options to go through.
Yeah, at least for this World Cup, they're going to struggle, and it just seems like they are looking for options, and they do not have options. That's what even Mahale Jayawardene came out and told to he came and said that to the press conference. That he does not have options to look beyond now. At one stage, you had you had Madhushanka, you had Chamira, but now who? Even Binura is now injured. Now he was one player who they thought could carry on, who was doing a decent job, but now he's also injured. He's a left arm pick they had. Now they have to bring a bowler from Sri Lanka. Now it's not going to be easy for them to bring a bowler from Sri Lanka for the next game and now look forward to pace bowling. They had carried 4 bowlers. Now almost all of them are injured. Now the only option they've got is to bring a bowler from outside and fill in the gap or play with a lot more spinners, which I don't think is a good option. They can play with a couple of them, but you can't play with more. You need a pace bowler who will pick
If
up
you play
wickets.
with spinners, if you bank on spinners too much, you might have this sort of a days when one of the spinners is not having a good day, and then Hasaranga actually traveled, and that really put a hold to Sri Lanka's hopes, any hopes of getting through this game. I think if Hasaranga would have been economical, or if he would have been as productive as he was as he has been in World Cup or in T20Is for Sri Lanka, I think. This would have been a much more closer contest. But the
Yeah, truly.
batsman just did not let him settle.
Truly, I think you're getting a call from Sri Lankan camp to be the left arm pacer or a pacer right now. Just pick it up.
No, I can do
Right
the
in
job. I am a
Australia.
right arm. I can do the job of a right arm medium
Yeah,
pacer.
I don't know. They just want a pacer at this point, and I think you should just you get a
I'm sure,
passport, wear a
Abel, you must
blue.
be getting a call very soon as
Yeah, no,
well.
I think I
In
should
your
change. I
time
should get
with
a passport.
spent in the RCB camp with Harsaranga, I think he must have
Yes,
scouted you for the national team.
I think they've already scouted me. They're just gonna call me. I think they just need a
Oh,
pace
Abel
baller
has
now.
won the
So maybe
RCB
that's the
jersey
reason
in
why
tribute
Sandipani is
for
getting a call.
Hasaranga's performance.
That Sandipani, I think the two requests that Sri Lankan Cricket Board has with Sandipani is one, to be involved himself and also give the number of Abel so that both of them can travel together.
Yeah,
Definitely. No,
absolutely.
I just wanted to know why has Abel won the RCB jersey? Just to pay tribute to Hasaranga? Or did he expect
It's due
something
to
else to happen
So
in
I
Maxwell.
think
this?
he's.
Sorry.
I think this is a stage where he's very upset about the fact that Stoinis is no more in RCB.
Yes. This is where it really hits in. But I don't mind. Maxwell is doing good. Either one of the RCB players is doing good in one of the games. For all the former RCB players are doing well. Quentin de Kock, Marcus Stein. Now, if I look, almost every player has played for RCB. Man, I'm not even kidding.
I mean, if you have a league going on for 15 years with such high stakes, it's bound to happen,
Yeah, I
and
think
most of the players will
also
have been.
with the system in place, the auction system in place, and the mega auctions happening every few years, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
Also,
I'm.
Aaron Finch had a what I don't know, was it a good knock or a bad knock, but I think he played
But I
that
think the
anchor's
knock,
knock that was needed by the team because he knew
yeah,
that
and I
from the
think
other end
Aaron
the
Finch
player was
himself
cold.
needed the knock. The fact that he carried his back throughout 16 overs and not getting out is something that I
Hmm.
think he needed. We saw what happened to Virat Kohli, for instance, when he played that kind
But
of a knock.
31 or
Yeah.
42 is something that Aaron Finch won't be
Aaron
too
Finch
happy
was
about.
saved by billions of Marcus Stoinis and Glenn Maxwell. All this could have
Correct.
been
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
a raw.
especially uh,
Rob cases. I don't know. When you leave England now, you're working for Sri Lanka. I think there's a conflict of
I think
interest there,
Robki
Mr. Rocky.
wanted Sri Lanka to win today. Unfortunately for Robki, he'll have to tackle the Australian problem himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think Robke should be more concerned about English fast bowling. Just preserve Jofra Archer, Chris Wokes, and everyone. They've been getting injured quite often. We've got an interesting question over here. Should India beware playing in Perth? Very interesting question. I know it's out of context from this game, but the conditions are going to be the same for India as well now as they're going to play in Perth. Your thoughts, Jaren? Because not an easy wicket to play. You know that and it's going to be a lot. It's going to be very difficult for Indian batsmen to acclimatize. I know they played in Perth, but they played in the WACA before they went to Melbourne for the game. Because I think South Africa versus India is going to be a challenge for a lot of players. It's not going to be easy, but I also feel it's going to be. Some players are going to really enjoy it, like so Rohit Sharma, Surya Kumar Yadav, for example, will actually enjoy the ball coming onto the bat a lot more. Though the bounce is going to be steep, even Virat Kohli will really enjoy the ball coming on it because Virat Kohli has got 100 in this very ground as well, if I remember, when India came for a test match. So a lot of batters from Indian team will enjoy a lot more, but some batters will really have to get their A game, especially KL Rahul with the ball seaming in quite a lot in this Perth wicket, and he's going to be up against a quality space attack on the 30th.
Absolutely, I think India's gonna. It's not gonna be easy, definitely for the Indian team because any team for that matter. And I really feel today as well we saw the team chasing found very difficult. What should have been an easier score, we had spoken about it earlier as well. So I think if India is chasing, especially a score above 160, which by the way I would like to go back to the fact that I said if Sri Lanka did score the 160 plus target, they would be in business, and they were for a long time. If not for this Marcus Stoinis innings, or even if Marcus Stoinis' strike rate wasn't, it was just absurd the way he was treating the ballers. He just, it's almost as if Marcus Stoinis came in and said, "This is how to bat on Perth,"
I
and it's
really
just a
thought there should have been a slip for Marcus Stoinis up front, regardless of what the condition, what the situation was. Because he nicked one and it went correctly to the first slip region and it went for four. That's where the game changed. I think Jaren is stuck. So yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I felt.
I think definitely because Marcus Stoinis was not very confident heading into this game. A 7-run knock of 16 balls, and before that too, he was out injured, and Cameron Green did a good job in his absence. So there were a lot of questions regarding whether Cameron Green would get the nod ahead of him in the World Cup. So coming back from that, I mean, there was lots of pressure on him, but he was always going to play one way, this aggressive sort of a way, and Marcus Ryan is when he's on form, when he's playing that way, these are some ominous signs for the bowling department. But definitely, you should have put in some pressure at least with a slip in, because there was some run rate pressure when Marcus Stoinis came into bat, especially because Finch played out a very quiet over after Stoinis came into bat. So there were chances that that Australia could have ended the other way. Probably one wicket at that stage. You would have Tim David coming in. Tim David also does not have the experience to sort of play in this sort of high pressure situations for Australia. So that would have been very interesting to see, and Matthew Wade to follow. But
Yeah.
anyway, Australia really had the edge because they did not allow their Sri Lanka's prime bowler Hasaranga to settle down. It is always a mental win, or you have already won the contest in your head when you can take out the opposition bowler. You can really target and decimate the opposition bowler, and that is what
Yeah,
Australia
true.
did
I
tonight.
mean, that's why I give credit to Australia over here because they came in with a mindset to play it slow initially, but then they understood. At one point they sniffed it. They sniffed that this is an opportunity to really kill the game, and they did it. That's typical Australian thing to do, and that's very good signs for Australia to go in with that mentality, which was missing in the last game. I thought last game they just threw the towel way too early, which was so unlike Australia. They knew net run rate would come in to be a big factor come the latter end of the tournament. I don't know if it'll come in at this point or not. Last year you saw South Africa missing out on a semi-final spot for the very reason. I know it's always luck has never favored South Africa in World Cups, and last World Cup it just did
It's
not.
so
And this
sad.
World
I
Cup,
mean, talking about South Africa, it's so sad that they got only 1 point from yesterday's game. They
yeah.
absolutely did not deserve
I mean,
that.
truly,
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought it was just unlucky of South Africa. I mean, this is cricket, right? It's a very funny game, and I think there should be Duckworth Lewis, which should be changed for these smaller portions. I know 5 over mark, you should hit it in terms of calculating it, but I thought when it's a 7 over game, you should actually change the Duckworth Lewis laws as well. Otherwise, it's just
But
ridiculous
there
for
is
a
always
team.
a gray area to it, Abel, because suppose you are like it is already a rain affected game, and you are playing a 10 overs game. So the opposition scores 150 runs in 10 overs, and then it starts to rain, and you have only 2 overs in play. So will a team scoring 50 runs of the first 2 overs get to win the contest? So it's a very
I mean,
sort
if
of a
it's
gray
going
area over
50
there.
on the first 2 overs, then definitely. I think the 10 over game, 5 overs could be the mark. But when it's a 7 over game, you can still amend it in a better way. That's what I thought. Because when you're
But then there
13
is
runs away,
no like if you have a 3 over or 4 over game, it does not really make any sense.
I mean, at least when it's a smaller game, at least you can actually amend the rules in a better position.
Yeah,
Uh,
but they'll have to sit and do a lot of brainstorming to sort of get that into implementation.
some people say this World Cup has been very one-sided, and except I also think almost the same because except the India Pakistan game, no real game has gone down the wire, and it
But
was a
this is what you
fitting.
expect when you have 12 teams in the World Cup, especially
I mean,
on
not just
paper you
that.
have three
We
or
also
four.
saw some big games ending up in a smaller effect. And Australia, New Zealand was one-sided. That was a surprise. And Australia, Sri Lanka, I thought could be a lot more closer, which did not really happen. India, Pakistan only it just stood up to the tag. Usually, India, Pakistan games become one-sided. In the last 1 decade, we've seen so many one-sided games, and this was really an exception. So I'm glad that was an exception. It was rightly so the exception. But yeah, Jen, your thoughts on that as well, because you're seeing a lot of teams dominating over the smaller teams, and also it has to do a lot with conditions, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a first round of fixtures as well that you're seeing. So a lot of teams are still getting used to Australia, especially the teams who haven't had, teams. I don't think it's easy to play 2 practice matches and just get used to Australia, especially you're coming from polar regions like Asia or even New Zealand for an extent. Haven't played a lot of cricket in Australia, but obviously what New Zealand did was great. And, these are first fixtures, so you won't really see the team settle in. The next round of fixture that you see, I think starting from today onwards. Today, for example, you saw Sri Lanka actually fight. Obviously, and if not for the Marcus Stoinis innings, you really saw this match going the Sri Lankan way for quite some time. So I would say it won't be like completely justifiable to call this an one-sided game. It was it was still there was still some fight shown by Sri Lanka. But yeah, you're right. I think overall it has been one side, but then, as Abhimani mentioned, skill sets really come to picture, and most of the fixtures we've had, with the exception of Australia and England, I mean Australia, New Zealand, and India and Pakistan were between teams where skills don't actually match as compared to others. Today was probably another match where we saw two test playing nations play a match. So here we saw again some bit of fight from Sri Lanka. So I think this will last for
No,
quite
but the
some
thing
time.
is,
And
even if we have two test playing nations playing each other, there is a vast difference between the skill
correct,
sets of an
exactly.
England or a
Especially,
Sri Lanka.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you put into the fact that Sri Lanka is playing in Australia, where Sri Lanka is not very comfortable. And so I think that having said that, I think this World Cup is only going to get more and more exciting as it goes. Because I have, if not anything, you've seen these teams put in the effort. For example, even Netherlands, Bangladesh, I felt Bangladesh had quite a bit of scare. Netherlands really played well. It was just that more experienced team really came through. But if Netherlands had really kept themselves, had played a bit of mature cricket throughout the middle overs instead of letting those 2 wickets slip in the power play. I mean, two runouts rather. Two
I
runouts
mean,
very
yesterday
quickly.
Netherlands were actually suicidal in their running.
Correct,
Not just
exactly. It
the
was
two
pretty
runouts; they
suicidal. I
were
mean,
running like
those
they
two
wanted to get
runouts,
this.
one of them was maxed out. You could have easily scored those 20, 15 runs that you required to, the deficit of the.
I think he's facing some bit of issues again.
Yeah, just to
I think
continue on his point, I think yesterday Netherlands were absolutely suicidal with the running. Not just the two runouts, but they also had instances where Bangladesh actually missed runout.
yeah.
And also Bangladesh did field brilliantly. You had two runouts from the deep. The runouts were not in the infield. Tom Cooper got out trying to run the third run, and Maxwell out got out while there was complete miscommunication with the second run. So both the runouts were in the outfield. But you have to say Bangladesh also did slip up with the fielding. They also had a couple of drop catches, and to add to that, a lot of half chances missed. I think there were two instances where they absolutely missed a simple run out.
Yeah.
So it could have gone either way, but being 15 for 4, Netherlands did a spectacular job of coming to where they did eventually. And Colin Ackerman actually finally displayed his talent and why he is rated so highly in the among the associate nations. I mean, Tom Cooper is yet to play that sort of a knock for Netherlands, but Colin Ackerman yesterday came to the party.
Absolutely. But yeah, now we did talk about yesterday's games as well. But now for Australia and Sri Lanka, as we were talking about, we already have a question on that. How is it going to be for can Australia defeat England? But to be very honest, it's going to be a very Herculean kind of a task for Australia to go on to defeat England with the kind of form England is in. And for Australia, after losing that first game, I never thought Sri Lanka would have been a test for them. That because this is going to be England, and that's what's going to decide this group. Whether the defending champions are going to defend the crown or are they going to be on their way out in their own backyard. It's very tough. It's very tough to defend the T20 World Cup title, and there are a lot of reasons why no team has really defended it. And Australia, I think England is going to be a major test for them. Your thoughts, Jaren? Because for Australia, they have their issues, especially when it comes to Aaron Finch not yet firing. And Maxwell, though he played well today, he's not really gotten. But their biggest positive will be Marcus Stoinis. And how will they
Yeah.
how will they be up against a team like England from here on?
To be fair, I think the Australian camp won't be at all happy, or at least won't be entirely happy with this because Australia many a times let go of let go of the game. They let go of the game in the 20th over when it should have been 140, 145. It shouldn't have been more than 150. The fact that Sri Lanka came so close to 160, and then from there on, Australia never really got going rather. I think there was a bit of an early impetus by David Warner. He started off well, but couldn't continue, and then was really surprised by the way Mitch Marsh played. He was again. He was really going well. It was just a bit of I would say immature cricket. Really, the fact that he got out at the worst possible time. At that point in time, Australia was really in control. He was in cruise control. There, he should have gotten going. He had gotten enough runs in that over to not really take a risk. Should have played the long innings because he isn't playing in number 6, number 7 anymore. He's playing in number 3 position. You have got the time. It's I know it's said that you have to keep going in these kind of games, but the kind of target they were chasing, the kind of pitch that he was batting on, this pitch wasn't a strange pitch to him. It was not like he's never played on this pitch. He's one of the darlings of Perth Scorchers. He's led them before as well, so he knows how to play on this pitch precisely. He's got a
And I
lot of
think
BBL
Jaren,
experience.
they had the net
Yeah.
run rate on their mind, so they wanted to get the target
Yeah,
done
I
as
mean,
quickly as
I
possible.
understand that. I understand that, but then for that to happen, you really need to first, get the control of the game, right? I mean, it's not said. It was not like Australia was in complete control. They were just starting to build. You need the time. You need to, really write Sri Lanka off the game, and that's when I feel you need to start taking control of the game. Like Sri Lanka, we have really broken the match, and the only thing that Sri Lanka is now trying to do is, give dot balls away or try and stop runs. It's not even like the power play was going on. If the power play was on, I would have still agreed with his approach. The power play just ended, and a good power play. The fact that they had only lost a wicket. That's when Mitch Marsh decided to go after the bowling. Once the field is set, at least if you're trying to take that impetus, you should choose the deliveries, go after the balls you can hit on the shorter side of the boundary or areas where the fielders are not present. But he instead tried to just bully the bowlers, and that's where they kind of messed up. Also,
uh, they've gotten enough runs in that over. I really felt there they should have put a stop because they had few more overs coming up, especially because they were missing one bowlers. There was always going to be such overs coming up, and you needed more and more overs. But unfortunately, by gifting that wicket away, what you did was really give control to Darshan Chanaka because it was a gamble from his end to bring in, Dhananjay D'Souza to two right-handers, and that too two right-handers in Aaron Finch and Mitch Marsh were very good players of spin. So there, I think it was a gamble that had not paid off till the last delivery. So that's where I felt Mitch Marsh really gave the game away. And other than that, I really don't think anything really affected Australia except for the batting of Aaron Finch, which I think if because Marcus Stoinis came in at the right time, it saved him a lot of blushes. But if it had gone in the 20th over, Australia hadn't won it, a lot of questions would have been raised on Aaron Finch. Now that also with the fact that Cam Green is in the squad, so there is there is a quick fire opening batsman sitting on the wings.
Yeah, and they really wanted to fire as well, and especially in a game like England, that's where they'll be hoping that he comes back in form. Having said that, that's all for today because we've come out to watch the game for a little bit and to analyze the game. And with watch along, it's a good thing that they did work out perfectly because usually the team wants to finish it off in no time, and thankfully,
And my hiccup has
Australia
been
gave.
continuously going on for the last 46 odd minutes.
That's
It's so
great.
strange.
I think you just need a scare. I think you just need a scare like what Sri Lankan camp is going through right now, or maybe even a
Yeah,
call from Sri Lankan camp saying that you are selected for to be the fast bowler for Sri Lanka for this World Cup.
fast
Nonetheless,
bowler. Yeah,
thank you all for joining. It was a pleasure taking your questions and your initial reactions as well. I'm pretty sure the Australians are pretty happy today and they want to continue this momentum being the defending champions into that game against England because it's all set to be a great match. I'm pretty sure that's going to be one hell of a match. And tomorrow, England are taking on Ireland. So we'll be back in a couple of hours' time. 3 hours time from now on to talk about the fantasy prediction for that game. England was Ireland, a big game. It's a clash of the neighbors out there, and I really hope it's an upset to light up this tournament and to light up this as well. And let's hope. I always like to support the underdog, so that's where I have my liking towards Ireland, but I don't think so. It's gonna happen in that way. Thank you all.
yeah.
We'll see you in a couple of hours time.
Yeah.
See you
See
guys.
you.